What is going on, guys? This is another kit that you guys have been asking to see for a long time, and so I'm finally taking a look here at the HGUC Gouf Custom. So a little while back I did do a review of the original HG 1/44 scale Gouf Custom, but that was the old one. This is the slightly newer one. This is still a little bit old now at this point, it's from 2010, but this is definitely the much better version of the HG 1/44 scale Gouf. So I think this one is going to be pretty nice. I love the Gouf Custom. Now, the 8th MS team is one of my favorite series of Gundam, and so I'm really looking forward to this. I've been looking forward to this for a while. I've just been putting off the build. I just didn't really have any particular reason to build it for a long time, but I know a lot of people have been wanting to see this review, so let's get into it. First off, on the front of the box here, you have some awesome artwork, of course, showing the Gouf Custom, and then just showing like kind of one of the most iconic scenes there of it there in the series, standing up on top of the building there, kind of looking around the area at the start of the battle. So very cool box art here on the front. Going around on here to the side, you can see this is going all the way back to 117 in the HGUC lineup. Down here on the bottom of the box, you can see a front and back look at the kit, what it looks like when it's all painted up. It looks very cool. I definitely prefer this version of the Gouf over the original Gouf. I like the different colors of blue rather than just the straight up kind of like royal blue all over. For the original Gouf, the Gouf Custom has a much better color scheme in my opinion, aside from just a bit better design in general. But once again, just a little bit about the Gouf there or the Gouf Custom I should say, in Japanese, and then some more about the story there. We got Norris, and then the fighting with the EZ-8s, so very cool. Around here on the other side, a little bit more about the gimmicks. So of course we have the big Gatling gun, we've got the sword, we have the movable mono eye, very cool. You can remove the Gatling gun from the shield, so that's nice as well if you wanted to just have the shield by itself. And then you've got just the machine gun underneath there, and then you've got the heat rod that can extend out from there as well, and a couple different hand options, so that all looking very nice. And the list price for this, 1,600 yen, so not a bad price I think for this kit as well, considering you got a nice good solid kit there by the looks of it, and then the big giant Gatling gun and the other different weapons and everything, the wire for the heat rod and all that included. So I think a very reasonable price it seems like for this. So just taking a look at this, we've got couple of runners, not a ton, but you know, pretty standard for an HG it seems like. So let's take a look at the manual here. As for a typical HGUC manual, we have some stats about the kit over here and about its armaments, and then just a nice big reference image what the kit looks like all painted up here on the front. On the back, some more action poses and samples. So again, if you're not really very good at posing your kits, you can always refer to the images, like the things that they do here in the manual. Just trying to recreate these poses is the easiest way to get a cool pose out of your kit. Just recreate whatever Bandai did in the manual. Alright, and then just a rear view there, and then again just more detailed images about some of the points of articulation and how the sword fits into the back of the shield and all that good stuff. So then we have the color guide down here at the bottom. That's all in Japanese, so you'd have to translate that if you want that in English. And then on the inside, it looks like we have another page with some more stuff here, more information there in Japanese. Another screenshot, looks like from the anime or just some other artwork, or it looks like a screenshot just cropped strangely. They're using the heat rod against the EZ-8. And then just another look at the machine gun hand and all that good stuff. So, alright, very cool. Oh, there's some more over here. Again, just the big image and then just some more about the story. It looks like a couple other screenshots there of some action scenes from the battle. Love it. Alright, then we get our parts list. So it looks like we got runner A, B1, B2, C, D, E, 2G, and then the polycap runner on there as well. Sorry for the Korean slip there. It's 2 of that E runner I meant. Anyway, then it gets into the construction. It just starts off with the torso and the waist, sort of building that all together, then the head, then the arms, and the legs, and then getting into the weapons and everything. We got a little bit left here on the color page at the very end, just finishing up the construction of the weapons there, it looks like, and then how to equip all that stuff, how to use the heat rod there in the arm. And that's pretty much it. Alright, simple enough. Let's get a look at the runners. Alright, so for the foil sticker sheet, we got a really teeny tiny one here with just 2 little red circles. I'm guessing one for the mono eye, one for the camera on the machine gun. And then the wire here for the heat rod, which does seem pretty hefty. It seems quite strong. Well, it even doesn't really have to hold up a ton of weight, just a tiny little plastic part at the end. So it seems like it's going to be very sturdy. Nice effect wire for that. And PC001 for our polycap runner here in gray. And then getting into our A runner here, it is in 4 colors. We got a couple of light blue parts up there at the top for the piping bits, a clear orange part down there at the bottom for the chest, and then some black parts over there on the side for some of the feet, the backpack, the sword, and then some dark blue parts in there for the main color of the main body. Runner B1 is going to be all of our light blue armor parts. You got parts for the arms, legs, head, shield parts, shoulder parts, all that stuff. And then we do also have a runner B2 for a copy of this half of the runner over here. Runner C is going to be a bunch of parts here in gray for the weapons, the hands, and looks like that is about it. Runner D1 is actually an old runner from the old 144 scale kit back in, what is that, 1998. So this is the runner, the same one that was used for the old 144 scale Goof Custom, as well as the Goof Flight type. So this is just for the ammo belt for the big Gatling gun. And then finally runner E here in gray is going to be some of our parts for the joints for the kit. So that's going to be all covered here on the E runner. We got 2 of those. And so it looks like it's going to be a pretty straightforward kit. In some ways, I don't know why, but for some reason it does, just taking a look at the runners anyway, at a glance, it sort of reminds me a lot of the Zaku 2 F2 HG kit, which if I had to guess, as far as I can remember, they probably came out around the same time, so in terms of just like the overall quality and construction of them, probably going to be pretty similar, and that's a really good version of the HG Zaku. So I'm expecting good things about this. So anyway, if you guys want to check out the kit or anything else there on USA Gundam Store, I recommend you check out the link down below in the video description. There's also my coupon code there, ZakuAurelius10, you can use to save 10% off everything there on the site. I'm going to go ahead and get this built up, and then we'll see how it looks. Alright guys, here's how it's going to look, built up straight out the box and without the Gatling gun and machine gun mounted onto the arm there. I just want to show you guys what it's going to look like just in case you wanted to build it and you wanted to do something with it without the machine gun attached onto the arm. As you'll see, you have that big peg sticking off the side of the arm there where the machine gun is supposed to be plugged onto. Now, the good thing about that is that that's really super easy to remove. If it was the other way around and it had a hole there, a hole is harder to fill if you needed to fill that in if you didn't want to have anything on there. So it's, I think, better that it's like that. If you didn't want to have that machine gun attached onto this side of the arm, just cut off that piece and you're good to go. The other great thing about this kit is that while the construction is really super nice, it's pretty minimal on the seam lines. The seam lines on this kit are going to be pretty few and far between. I'll point them out to you guys in a second, but those are really nice. And notice well the color separation. Although it's not really the most colorful design, the color separation is all pretty much where it should be, so that's pretty nice about this as well. The details overall pretty good as well. It's about what you would expect for this era high-grade kit. It's not super highly detailed, but it's got details there and it should look pretty nice when it's all painted up. Alright, so let's just go ahead and run through those now. So for the seam lines, you of course have one on the shoulders. The front and back half of the main shoulders there has a seam line down the middle of that. That said, this main spike there is a separate piece, so there's no seam running through that, just through the main part of the shoulder. So there's no seams on the head at all, and there's nothing on the torso at all either. A lot of high-grade kits will have like the front and back half of the torso chassis will like sandwich together, and you have a little seam there like above the shoulder, but in this case it's the piece that goes onto the side there, so you don't have any seam lines there either. No seam lines around anywhere on the skirt, of course. On the legs, you've got a seam line here, but it's just made up as a panel line, so you could fill that in if you want to, but otherwise you don't really necessarily have to. And then similarly here on the lower leg, just right there below the knee and right here above the foot, that's sort of a seam line there. I wouldn't really bother with that though. I would just kind of leave that as it is. It's not, there's not a beveled edge like this to make it look like a panel line, but I think that seam is pretty natural. That said, the only other one aside from the shoulder that you really need to worry about, I think, would probably be here down at the bottom of the lower leg. Now see, on this part, there's a panel line detail there, but they didn't make that panel line detail extend all the way down. So on this lower part, you do have a little bit of a seam here. Let's split that apart a little bit so you guys can see that better, but that seam line there down at the bottom of the lower leg, you will want to get rid of that as well. As for the articulation, the head will go up and down a little bit, not really too much up, but it can point down pretty nicely for a nice kind of downward pointed look to give it a really nice mean look there. And like with other similar Zaku type HG kits, we have a little thing down here under the head that you can move that to turn the mono eye to the side. Now that mono eye detail was molded on that part, and then you have a little sticker that goes over that. We have a little bit of movement in the torso section, forward and back, and then kind of side to side. It's basically just on a ball joint though, but then also just because you have this piping part going around through here, it's going to be inhibiting too much movement there in the middle section, but you do have a little bit. That clear orange piece in the stomach section looks pretty nice, but it's quite dark unless you were to fill in some silver paint or something behind there to make that shine nice and brightly. Or if you want to be really ambitious, putting an LED light in there would be pretty cool. The shoulder joint will swing out forward like that, and you actually have a little plastic piece that covers up the polycap there, so that's a kind of nice little added detail on that. And because of the shoulder armor, you can bring the arm up to about 90 degrees there, but it's going to be looking kind of weird with the shoulder armor sort of like covering the side of his head like that. If you don't do that, you can really only bring the arm up to about 90 degrees. Sort of seems just an unfortunate part of the design of this goof. Otherwise, the arm works pretty normally. You have some rotation there at the top of the arm. You have a joint here at the elbow, which is going to give you about 90 degrees. Unfortunately, that's about all for that joint. And then the wrist is just a ball joint there. But on the subject of the hands, you'll notice that we have these nice closed fist options here. Our other hand options, just to run through those once again while we're here, are these two holding hands, which are basically just going to be used for the sword. And then this open hand for when you're shooting out the heat rod. Now back to the articulation, these front skirt bits and side skirt bits can sort of move in theory, but they're not going to move anywhere basically just because, once again, this piping part going around here. The back skirt is just this piece just stuck in place, and the backpack also nothing really going to move. Those thruster bells plugged in there via a polycap ball joint, but they're not really going to be able to do too much. So as for the legs, the whole hip section can rotate side to side like that, and then you can bring the legs up forward to really only about 45 degrees there, once again just because of the skirt section not really able to move too much. That's about all you can bring the legs forward. Then for the knee bend, you have a nice double joint there, and you can get a pretty far bend there at the knee, which is pretty nice. Out to the side, you're going to be able to bring the legs out pretty far, out to about there, so you should be able to get a pretty wide, nice dynamic stance, or at least pose out of that, I should say. Not necessarily you're going to have it standing like that, that would be a little bit weird. And then down here at the ankles, you got a little bit of side-to-side movement, again, just because of the design of this kind of typical Zaku or Goof style lower legs here, these big bell bottoms. You're not going to have a ton of side-to-side movement here at the ankles usually, but you got a little bit there, so you could get a relatively wide stance out of that. Forward, you can bring it all the way forward to there, and then back all the way to there. Up underneath the feet, you got nice full detail there, no hollow spaces or anything, so that's good. As for the other accessories, of course, we've got the machine gun, which will just plug straight onto the side of the arm there. We have a little sticker for that, a little foil sticker. This little bit here on this side will also move a little tiny bit as well. The camera will move side to side if you wanted to just have that just on the arm like that. The heat rod on the other arm, you'll just need to remove this little piece here carefully. Don't lose this. And you just go ahead and plug the wire straight into there, and you have like the expanded form of that tip out here at the end. And the wire is very substantial enough. I mean, it's just got to hold this little tiny piece on there, so it's basically just the wire just has to support its own weight for the most part, and it does perfectly well. So this accessory does work really nicely. And then of course we have the famous Gatling shield, which looks great. The details on it are really nice. Once again, we have that ammo chain, which is from the old 144 scale kit, but it's just kind of a little bit softer piece that you'll have to use for that. Otherwise, the sword is just stuck in here. It's just one solid piece of kind of black plastic, so might want to do a little bit of painting on that just to make it a little bit nicer colored, but that just slots down into there, and then that's pretty cool. You can remove these parts off of the shield and just have it as just this basic shield by itself if you wanted to, except that this doesn't plug onto the arm by itself at all. It just plugs here onto the side of the machine gun, so you couldn't have this on the arm without the machine gun, without modifying it, of course. But it can still hold the sword like that, so it still could be useful if you wanted to have this without the machine gun attached onto it like that. But of course, with everything attached on there, it's going to be looking so awesome. This thing just looks so cool. I mean, if you don't love the Goof Custom, then I don't know, everybody loves the Goof Custom, right? Everybody loves 8th MS Team series. It's certainly one of my favorite series, and this is certainly one of my favorite mobile suits. It just looks so good, and it's kind of weird how the original Goof just doesn't really do much for me, but this one I love. So it's just kind of interesting how just small differences can make such a big difference in terms of just, at least for me, my own personal opinion about the design. So love this design. The kit looks fantastic. Let's take a look at a couple of comparisons though, shall we? Alright, so here it is between the old HG 144 scale kit and the old Master Grade kit. So this HGUC version is actually the most recent of the three to come out, and it definitely shows. I mean, the Master Grade is not bad. I will say it's, you know, it could use some love, but actually the Master Grade has more seam lines on it than the HG kit does. And personally, I kind of prefer the proportions to the HG a little bit more. It's just a slightly different proportion, and I kind of like it a little bit more than the Master Grade. As for the old HG 144 scale kit, I mean, just don't. I mean, unless you really want to use it like for some kit bash material, I think it could be good if you want to use like some of the parts just for kit bash. It's cheaper than the HGUC version a little bit, not by that much though either. So I would say definitely go for the HGUC version if you're a big Goof Custom fan. If you wanted 1/100 scale though, the Master Grade, although it's old, not that bad. Alright guys, so that should just about do it. And I gotta say, this has become one of my favorite HGUC kits for sure. Now, that's a little bit biased just because I'm a big fan of the design, but if you are also a big fan of the design, then you'll absolutely love this kit. Even if you're not like super big fan of the design, even if it's just kind of like a design that you kind of like, or you like its weapon, or you just kind of like HGUC Xeon kits, then whatever the case, definitely check the kit out if you haven't. Even if you already have the master grade and you wonder, well, I don't really know if I really want the HG, I would say even still definitely check this kit out. Whoever you are, wherever you are, this is one that I would highly recommend for any of you guys to check out if you get the chance. So really awesome kits, really minimal on the seam lines. The color separation, like I said, is pretty good. Painting this kit up shouldn't be all that difficult at all. Just a couple of seam lines to get rid of, and otherwise just a really quick, fun paint job, I think, on this. And it looks great. I mean, just the proportions, everything, the detail looks good. It's not super detailed again, but for an HGUC kit, it's pretty standard. It's about what you would expect for a standard HGUC kit. There's a couple points of articulation that I wish could have been a little bit better. But again, just because of the design of the Gouf Custom, I think I can understand where they were a little bit limited. Now, if they were to make like a proper 2.0 kit of the master grade based off of the 2.0 Gouf, I think that would be awesome, and it would probably be, you know, probably better than this in a lot of ways. But until then, I think this is probably what I would say would be the best option if you wanted a kit of the Gouf Custom, if you're a fan of the design. So let me know what you guys think about the kit down in the comments below. I'm sure a lot of you guys probably already have the kit already. It's been out for a while, but if you have it, let me know what you think about it. Let me know what you've done with yours, if you've done anything custom or just painted yours, or what you thought about it, or if you want to get it now, let me know what you think. And if you have questions, of course, you can leave those down in the comment section there as well. I'll try to answer those for you guys. As always, again, thank you to USA Gundam Store as well for their support. You can check the link down in the video description for USA Gundam Store and use my coupon code there as well. And as always, guys, hope you have a great day. I'll see you next time. Bye bye.